level up a few thousand degrees with a Lava Hot podcast and host Joseph Connell Jr. You'll hear from ordinary people who are doing extraordinary things, from tech startup CEOs and marketing professionals to authors, investors, and sales trainers. This show will be packed with information to help you level up in life or business, taking you from on fire up to lava hot. Get ready to burn this down.
I want to welcome everybody to the Lava Hot podcast. Today I have with me Staci Alexander. And just a few things about Staci. She's a self and relationship transformation coach, owner of Creative Movement, certified in yoga and Reiki.
Mm-hmm.
I had a feeling I would butcher that. And she's also the host of Second Breakfast podcast, which is housed right here at the brand. And Staci, I'm happy to have you.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Yep. So Staci, what really attracted me to you and what brought me to invite you onto the show is one Monday morning, I woke up and I saw that you were live on the brand, and just that energy mixed with the genre of music that you were playing, that made me want to bring you onto the show.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. So it's just that really dope energy that you brought, and I'm really happy to have you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That's my jam. Hip hop is that's my baby, or I don't know. It's been my love ever since I was young. I used to always, I was a ballerina, so we'd always do classical music all the time.
Yep.
And then whenever I got a chance, as soon as I got in the car, I wanted to hear whatever was going on in the 90s at the time. So
yep.
It just still stuck with me and bring it into this space.
Oh yeah. Same way for me. I grew up, my mother listened to a lot of hip hop, and and my brothers, I remember being 10 years old, going and getting Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Coolio, a good mix of that early 90s hip hop.
Oh, I love it.
So, yep. But anyway, so let me dive into just some questions that I had lined up for you.
Sure.
What I wanted to do is kind of start at the beginning of your coaching career.
Okay.
I want to uncover and realize, what brought you to become a coach, if there was maybe some past or life experience that made you, or was that initial why or drive. But yeah, I'll let you kind of tell me that story.
Okay. So I think for me, I've always had this unseen blinking light above my head that said, come talk to me. And it's been following me around for years. And I used to tour as a dancer in the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. And when I would walk into these workshops and stuff with people, I would go with the intent of dancing. All right, we're all going to dance together. But then I would just get pulled to the side by these children who were like, can I talk to you? I feel like, can I talk to you? And I'd be like, oh, okay. So I would go talk to people. So I've always had this safe space, I guess, that I've created for people to feel comfortable to talk, whatever it may be.
Yep.
And a couple of years ago, let's see, probably like 4 or 5 years ago, for me and my journey of figuring out who I am, I just realized that I was just not representing myself in the way that I wanted to in life in general, when it came to me and my relationships or friendships or parenting, or even in my jobs. I was just like, there's something else, there's something more, there's something, I just don't like, I just don't like this. I don't like where I'm at right now. And so I really, and I'm saying it in a much more calm, because it was not a calm, I was like very emotional, like, oh my God, I do not like this. And just being in the support system of friends that I held close, and I just decided to kind of tear it all down and start over. So I started to go to Reiki, which is what you're talking about, which is working with spirit energy, which we all have in our body. We're all a consciousness existing in a human form.
Yep.
And then I started to go to therapy too, and it was kind of like back to back, like boom, boom, boom. And I just decided that I was going to do whatever it took to get to who I am, to my core, to like really my authentic self, versus like this person that I felt like I was showing up on this side and this side and this side. And I felt that I was showing up authentically as much as I could. But now that I'm on this side, I'm like, whoa, I was really trying to please a lot of people at the time. Yeah. So I've had to really like drop a lot and be like, oh, nope, not going to do that anymore. But thank you anyway for the opportunity. But just because I can doesn't mean I have to, has been one of my big themes lately, because I'm very versatile and I've been able to chameleon my way through life. I can fit into this scene, I can fit in this one, and realize that like I don't want to fit in anybody's scene. I want y'all to come to my scene.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like where the premise of Second Breakfast started, because it was just like, all right, you know what? I'm combining all the loves that I have, whether it be music or speaking about this self-relationship stuff or coaching or healing, or let's get real deep and weird, like we can do it in this space because it's safe here. And so that's kind of where it's kind of culminating into what you're seeing now. And it's going to like explode. However that's looking, I don't know. I don't have the foresight of that. I'm just really leaning into the trust of myself and just going, I'm going to show up authentic. And if I show up as authentic as I can and still in a space of like love for me and extensions of me and everybody around me, man, I can't go wrong at this point. So.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, authentic is ultimately what brought me to you. Just seeing you on, Facebook Live, just jamming to some hip hop early in the morning, full of, some pizzazz, if you will. It was authentic energy. And nowadays, I mean, that's what people are really dialing into. I mean, if you look at platforms like TikTok or Instagram Reels, all of those platforms are designed for people to be their authentic self. And more often than not, the videos that go viral are the ones that were just an individual being an individual, rather than the doctored up content, if you will, where it's like designed with intentions to try to go viral. They tend to really fail, while it's the people that are just their unique individual self. Those are the ones that, tend to have the secret sauce, if you will.
Yeah, it makes so much sense, because I was trying to do these, trying to put out reels so that I can get, the page to kind of build, on my Instagram or whatever. And every time I sit down and attempt to do it, like I'm going to do this today, I'm like, oh, that's not, I don't have the vibe right now. I have to do the work or whatever it is. And I get in my own way.
Yep.
Whereas if I just sit and, and start taking real silly pictures of myself and then start vibing with whatever's in the environment, man, it turns out so much better. And people are like, I love that. I'm like,
yep. No, I mean, for me, I found you on, on live. So, I mean, you can't polish that up. You can't make it, packaged.
Right.
You can't say, hold on, folks, let me redo what I just said. It's just, you got to do it right then.
Absolutely.
From the hip and raw. So
yep.
I love it. Well, let me ask, for the coaching side, is there like a certain type of maybe demographic individual that you hope to work with? Youth, adult, male, female?
I love that you asked that, because I'm really trying to peel back the layers of that myself right now. And I mostly work with a lot of women who are kind of older versions of myself. The ones that are still like, I want to show up in this way, but I'm not sure how to get there. Or like, I feel there's something more or better that's coming from me, but I don't quite know what it is. I don't know how to get there.
Yep.
So those are the ones that I work with when it comes to like one-on-one coaching or one-on-one energy work. Those I work with women a lot. I do work with dudes too, and I love working with men, because those that I attract into my space are very self-aware. Even if they're in the very beginning stages of self-awareness, they by the time it's like, I had a session with a guy who was like, I don't talk very much. And I was like, that's fine. You don't talk very much. And at the end of it, he was like, blah, blah, blah. I was like, all this stuff. And he's like, oh, well, apparently I do talk. And I was like, well, because you feel safe here. That's all. And then when it comes to like group sessions, I work with kids. I create safe space to work with children. And one of the things that I really love doing, that I get hired to do now, is go into the school system with children, like big groups. And I'm like, all right, everybody, we're dancing. And they're like, oh, okay. And we're not, there's no, I can teach them some moves here and there. And that's not really, because I'm a, trained dancer from forever ago. This is my lifetime work, has been movement.
Yep.
But now it's like, oh, I like what you got going on. I like what you got going on. We're going to pull that into what we're doing all together. I like what you... It's giving them safe space to be who they are. Again, it's authenticity.
Yep.
And so by the time I leave, I got like 80 children. They're trying to hug me on this like big group, and I'm like, oh, I love it, because it's just so rewarding to be in there with children. Children are so dope. We don't even... I feel like a lot of times we forget the magic that exists within children because we're like, we have to be the parents, or we have to be the teachers, we have to be the ones in charge, and I need you all to be quiet and sit down, and you're out of control, and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, let them spin on the floor, let them shake their bodies all weird, let them scream really loud, So sometimes I'm not sure if everybody's totally down with the mission when I walk in, but by the time I leave, they're like, oh, because we've also worked through breathing. I can help you with breath work, let's take a deep breath in and let it go. Or it depends on what the mission of the day is. And it's really, again, it's rolling with the moment. So sometimes I walk in with a lesson plan, And then I'm like, well, that's not working. So I have to flip it on a dime, right there in the moment with the children.
Yep.
Where are they? I'm going to meet them where they are. I don't have to I don't have to have them meet me where I am in my lesson. I'm going to meet the audience where they are. It's like, know your audience, so.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. For me, I have 3 teenagers and a 4-year-old, and I think in their own way, they try to find their own uniqueness of how they want to be creative.
That's lovely.
So one of my sons, his dream, he wants to be like a YouTube gamer, streamer, and I'm all for it. I went out and purchased all the gear for it, and still have a couple of more investments to make for that, but. I just like that he wants to create his own platform, and it's something that he enjoys doing. I have another son that very creative when it comes to drawing.
Nice.
Yeah. He's won some awards and stuff like that
that's
for his
wonderful.
artwork. So, he's really brilliant when it comes to putting together some artwork. My daughter, my 14-year-old, I think right now, she's looking forward as she gets into Stephen Decatur High. She wants to get into music. She saw the musical Hamilton.
Yes.
And absolutely fell in love with it. The whole I never really took her as an individual who loved hip hop, but she saw that musical and was just like, man, I love it. And now she's all about that musical. So I think she wants to get into something like that. I actually sent her your website earlier today for just the dance aspect because she recently said that, she would like to explore dance and hip hop and all that.
Love that.
So,
and it doesn't even have to be I'm not turning out professional dancers. I'm teaching them moves, right? But it's so much more than just the dance as well. The creative movement is just I don't even know how this happened, to be honest with you, because it's just, I wasn't planning on starting a company. I wasn't planning on it growing so quickly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, look at all these children that come. But it's really building a community, a safe space for us to explore movement within our bodies. So that's what it is with the schools, and that's what it is with my company too. Yep. But we've really based out of hip hop because that's my love, and it's kind of what draws the people in the first place.
Yep, absolutely.
And it's a big, vast crowd of people. Everybody's totally different.
Yep. Out of curiosity, do you only do sessions in person, or do you do virtual?
When the pandemic hit, I did start doing virtual sessions, and I hated it when it came to choreography because there's a delay between us. Whether it's like a second or two, it's enough to be like, oh my gosh, that's not what I taught you, So, and that's not what we're trying to do. So I do them in person right now. If necessary, and we got to switch back into some virtual movement, then I'll think about it. I do virtual movement with little ones too, so like 3, 4, 5. Yep. Those sessions are really great because it's a lot of creative movement. So I'm in there going, okay, move like a snake, and they're all on the floor, and I'm like, excellent. It's just using your imagination and being again in safe space.
Yep. So how about for the self-coaching?
So self-relationship. So I think I want to explain that because a lot of people that I've noticed that come to get work done. I'm I'm an energy worker. So I work with people's energy, and sometimes they feel like it's not flowing, right? Or not moving in the correct way or whatever. So we kind of tap in and work with that. I work with the subconscious mind. So not the conscious mind, not the one that's like running the show right now and it's got all your answers to your questions, or it goes back into like old programming, but your subconscious mind, which knows your deeper answers. So anyway, what was your question again?
If you do coaching in that regard.
Okay, self-relationship.
Virtual.
Okay, so yes, I do virtual. One of the things that I noticed is that these people are still giving their power away to other people. So they're still looking to fix the relationship with this person, but they're not focusing on themselves. Well, if we don't focus on ourselves first, and we're always trying to get what we're looking for from somebody else, we're just constantly giving our power away. Yep. So I like to help them get into their own power so then they can make the decisions from now this new, authentic, aligned person, the aligned self. Yeah. And from there, your moves start to look a little different, right? And you start to find the love for yourself that you actually innately are.
Mm-hmm.
And from that, a result of that is boundaries. So you start setting these boundaries in your life that you never had before, which then starts to change your circle because people are like, wait, hold on, I don't like that person, right? Or I don't like that you did that, or you said no. So I do definitely offer them in person. And then this year, they'll start to be a lot more virtually offered.
Cool. So over the years, because this started in 2018.
I don't even know what. Okay, so we're in 22. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How have you seen it evolve as far as like just growing the business? Being a marketing guy, I always have to ask those questions. Totally. Like what has worked as,
I love this.
in building your brand or building your company? I'm kind of curious what you've seen work.
It's like whenever I attempt to put out, like, it's like what we talked about before. I'm going to sit down and do content today. I'm going to kick that out and it's going to bring people in. It never works. Yep. It's when I'm really in the flow of who I am and I'm, getting this message of like, this is dope. I'm going to share this with the people. And all of a sudden it's like, share. All these people are like, I'm totally feeling that.
Yep.
But I'm also tapping into the energy that we all have together because we're all connected.
Yep.
So then it applies. So people are like, that resonated with me big time today. And people hit me up in my DMs and like, I just thank you so much for speaking to me. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what it is. So if the evolution of the business or the Reiki or the energy work or the coaching or all the things that I do, even the creative movement, the evolution of it is the more I trust myself, the more it unfolds. And so I just have to trust myself. And sometimes trust myself is terrifying because I'm like, I have the idea, but I have no idea how it's going to happen. I have no idea what it's going to turn. It's even second breakfast. I was like, this is going to be dope, which I felt like it would be, or it'll be a huge flop, one or the other, But at this point, it's not that I don't care. I care a lot, but it was kind of like, what do I have to lose? I don't know. So I just started putting it out there. And with the energy work, I'm not sure about anybody else's journey with that. I really don't know because I really tried to be like, this is mine. But I was very scared to be like, okay, this is what I'm starting to do now. Here's your kid's dance teacher. That's why I felt like I was, and that's how I identified for a really long time. So now I have this other thing that I'm doing on the side, and then they're like, but I trust it, and I trust you. And then I'm like, now it's like back-to-back people, showing up. And I'm like, this is amazing because people are starting to understand. They start to see. They see the shifts in themselves. They notice their growth over the years. They report back. They tell me things. They bring more clients in. It's just like, that's dope. So it's really just the evolution of trust in myself. First it was self-love. I had to get there to like love myself enough to, because I realized I didn't harness that power either before either. So that, and now it's like self-trust. Okay, Staci, like, you can do dope stuff. Like, you're here for purpose. What's my calling? My calling is not to be a dance teacher. Loved it, and it's great, and it supported me for a really long time. And I met a lot of wonderful people through that. And now I get to step into something even more powerful, whatever that is,
Right. Yeah. I like your shirt.
Thank you.
I was looking at it, spiritual gangster. I think that's just awesome. It kind of speaks to your whole vibe, So did you have that made, or was that something you found?
It's actually, it's a brand.
Cool.
I know, right? I was like, what? I have to get creative movement ones made and I already have like design in my head. Because I'm like, if I'm going to be bumping on these things, like I need to have my sweatshirt on.
For sure.
But this does represent, but it's interesting because it was a couple years ago, people were like, wait, you're so spiritual. And I was like, okay. So there's a label. We have to put people in like boxes so that we're comfortable with them, We're like, she fits over here now. And she fits over here. And I was like, what? I feel like a lot of people have this idea that spirituality is super woo-woo when we're like all out here like skipping around in flowers, and yes, I may do that too, but it's not what it is because I'm a human too. So I'm a spirit living a human existence. So now one of the big hashtags that I use is humaning. Like, we're all out here humaning. Sometimes humaning gets real weird and hard and sad and all that stuff, but it's okay because you're just humaning. That's all it is. Yep. And it's almost like okay. All right. So I can't really like mess this up. Nope. Can't really mess it up. I mean, try to be a good person, but you can't really mess it up.
Yep. That's my whole philosophy on parenting.
Totally.
We're all going to mess them up somehow. I'll just do it my own unique way and hope for the best.
Absolutely. We call it like do-over. Like, I always go back to my son and I'm like, all right, can we have a do-over about what happened earlier, or the conversation that we had, or can we bring that back up again and hash it out and just show them that we're humaning too, and then also offering forgiveness for them and their humaning when they mess up, because a lot of us are like, we're scared that this tiny person reflects our parenting, our judgment, our whatever it is, and that's not always the case, so we can just be like, oh, that person's they made a mistake. Good job, you. Now, would you learn? Let's go from there, Yep. But I agree.
So out of curiosity, if you could, let's say, go back to the teen years, since you work with teens,
okay,
what advice would you give a teen now to your teen self if you were to go back? Is there anything that you've taken over the journey that led you up to this point that you would go back and say, hey, here's some things to keep an eye on. Here's some advice to carry with you?
That's a really good question, because there's tons of them. And whenever I do, I see the teens once a week. So we do talk about stuff. And one of the things that just popped up when you said that was like, don't take it so serious, just don't take it so serious. Yep. Don't forget to have fun. This journey that you're all on, that we're all on, sometimes gets really, really serious. And everyone's like, just have to be serious. And we're forgetting about playtime. And teens are still children. They're just in taller bodies. And we forget that. And we're like, well, you're almost an adult now. What are you going to do for the rest of your life? And they're like, I don't know. They're really stressed out, and it's like, you don't need to know. You don't need to know any of that. You don't even know. You have no idea who you are. You're on the first leg right now,
Yeah, I mean, right now I have a 15-year-old. He's about to turn 16. It's crazy to me, this idea that 2 years after that, he's an adult, and he's supposed to make some, major life decisions, and then when I look back 2 years after that, I had my first kid. So I was 20 years old when I had him. And it's just, now I look back at it and I'm like, man, 15 years old, 16, you're still a baby. Totally.
Just a baby in a big body. I mean, if anything, it's like, I understand the push to go to college, maybe a little less than most people, but like, dude, there's so much out there for you. There's so much in this world.
Oh, yeah.
Just waiting for you to be like, I want to go, I want to go. I want to see. I want to do, just go. That's one of the things that I've always wanted to do for my child when he gets to that age, just go, son. And that's what my parents did. That's one of the best gifts they gave to me. They were like, you want to go. I was like, bye.
For me, that's what I'm trying to imprint on my kid, with my younger teen, him being so enthusiastic about gaming and things like that. There's people that make solid careers out of that stuff. And I think, if anybody's going to be his biggest fan, it's going to be me. I probably am. I think he's a little badass when it comes to gaming. And, my daughter, if she's bounced back and forth from different things that she wants to be. And, she's talked about wanting to work for NASA. She's talked about
that's dope.
On a completely other end of wanting to be a forensic scientist. And for Gabriel, his big thing is art and animation. So, I'm really, I'm happy no matter which path they go. If they want to go to college, don't go to college. I personally didn't go to college. I'm a firm believer that you can make,
absolutely
a life doing whatever it is you want to do, whatever your passion is, or what have you. You can really create a career and a lifestyle from that.
You could do it with anything. I could turn around tomorrow and be like, you know what? Tomorrow I'm gonna learn how to start selling real estate. And if I really dive into it and put my intention there in that space and really clear it all off so that that's what I'm doing, I could do that. If I really, really wanted to be an artist. This is a silly example of this, but when I was touring, one of my best friends was like, Staci, I'm going to do a split. And I was like, okay. She did one. I was like, that's not a split. She was like, here. She was like, I'm going to get it though. And every day she practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. And then one day she walked in rehearsal and she was like, look, she got the director's attention. Look what I can do. And she dropped down in the split. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was really impressive. I mean, I've been doing splits for years, but like, here you are, couldn't do it. And then a month later you're all in, And I was like, wow. And even though that's a silly example, it's like, we can do anything we want. It's not, she's not going to be a forensic scientist. She's going to do forensic science,
Yeah,
right?
yep.
What she's going to be is a human with all these qualities that you have instilled in her, and she's picked up on her own and decided these are part of my personality. We can flip all that too.
Yep.
We don't have to be like one thing. And I think for me, that's what this whole dance thing was. I mean, even until just a few weeks ago, probably if we talked last time, I would have really identified a lot more with the dancer side of me. And now it's like, dance is cool, but that's not all that I have to offer here. You know, we're doing bigger things. So
absolutely. So as we come around to the end of the episode, kind of landing the plane, you know, for individuals that are either interested in the coaching or dance, where would be, you know, the best place to find you? And
So I'm trying to build my Instagram platform. That would be Staci with an I, because you spell my name Staci, but also Staci with an I, like a third I. 1111. And then the Creative Movement is on, right now it's on Facebook. Soon that may have a website coming out. I'm not really like totally dedicated to it. What I might do is just have a website for me and then all the extensions of Staci, whatever she's got going on. But right now the best place to hit me up is on Instagram.
Yep. Yeah, I think that would be a good way to go. Have your self-branded page, and then
I appreciate
just
that.
kind of have it all kind of connect to you. But, well, Staci, I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
I think it was a wonderful episode. You're a wonderful individual. I'm really happy that I got to meet you, and I look forward to the next episode of Second Breakfast.
Yay!
And I look forward to releasing this and getting it out there for everybody who may or may not be listening. I, appreciate you tuning in and listening to another episode of the Lava Hot Podcast.
You've been listening to the Lava Hot Podcast with Joseph Connell Jr. Do you want to level up your business in 2022? Then visit us at golavahot.com for a free marketing analysis.
Get ready, you already know. Let's go.